Do these emotes look AI generated to you? Well, I sure hope not, because I drew them. So, I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you might be curious how to tell if your Twitch or Discord emotes are AI generated. So obviously this might be relevant to a streamer or someone with like a D&D group or something that has a Discord server where they use emotes. Often when you're starting out doing streaming or something, or if you've got like a friend group that you spend time with on Discord, you may want to buy some emotes as something for you and your friends to use, or your viewers to use when they're interacting with you on your channel. One of the cheap ways to do that, other than commissioning an artist to make custom emotes for you, is to go to somewhere like Etsy and then search emotes for whatever your interest might be, or maybe a creature that you like. And then there'll be all these pre-made emote packs that you can buy, download, and use right away. My name is Katie, and I am one of those emote artists that sell packs on Etsy. I spend a lot of time like putting together my little characters for it. So I thought maybe I would be someone who's worth listening to on this topic. As someone who's been doing emote art for I think since 2020 now, I've had a lot of people commission me, and then more recently I've had people commissioning me who felt like they've been scammed by people selling them AI generated emotes. So I kind of want to put this out there as something that might help steer people away from buying those things if that's something they want to avoid. Obviously there's people who don't care, but if you're one of those people, I guess this isn't the video for you. Now, one of the really tricky things with talking about this is that there are a lot of new artists who might not be as established and they might make mistakes in the art, which might make it harder to tell if their work is genuine or not. However, a lot of the time when I see like a highly polished work and it's got like weird details in it that I don't feel like someone of their level should be making, that's usually when I become pretty suspicious of it being AI. It's a lot harder to tell with individual pieces. However, when it comes to an emote pack, it's a little bit easier to tell because generally they're going to be based around like one character multiple times. So you can kind of look at the character then and see if there's inconsistencies between each drawing of it. Because one of the things I've noticed with the AI generated emote packs I've been seeing pop up on Etsy is that they're not the most consistent. Sometimes it is still hard to tell, but hopefully, if you can find some red flags, that might be a sign. So we're going to go over a little bit of a guide, and this is a little bit of a quick and dirty guide, so it's not perfect, but it might help. And I just want to say as well one more thing, if you do think something is AI generated, this isn't like a thing to go on a witch hunt about it, because chances are if you don't really have that eye to notice these details, you might misinterpret something and end up going after the wrong person. So this is more just about someone who's looking to buy something and trying to avoid that. So I've sort of written up a little bit of a guide here. I guess you can screenshot it if you want to. We're just going to go over these points a little bit in this video, and I've got some like visual slides to sort of help explain things a little bit more, so hopefully that'll be helpful. Alright, so starting at point number 1, my first sign that it might be an AI generated emote pack is if the shop was made from July 2022 onwards, which is, according to Wikipedia, when Midjourney became available in open beta. So I would sort of consider a shop that's opened up on Etsy after that time to maybe be suspicious. I would at least just give it an extra careful look. Which I know sucks for new creators, however, yeah, it's just kind of the reality we're in right now. So I'll just bring up my shop for an example. It says I've been on Etsy for 4 years, which would mean that my shop was created in 2021, or maybe it was 2020. Either way, I'm just in before that 2022 time. A lot of the shops I'm seeing that do have the AI generated emotes were made in the last couple of years generally. That's the first thing that I would say to look at. Next thing we're going to look at is colors. So the first thing, and I'll bring up this. So this is an emote pack that is available on Etsy, and I'm not going to give the name of the person who's selling this. However, I know it's AI generated, and I've looked at their shop and I know, yeah, it's just all fake. Someone who doesn't know what they're looking for will probably look at this and they see these cute bubbly turtles and think that, you know, someone's drawn this. However, I can guarantee that's not the case in this instance. So the first thing that stands out to me is the colors are super hypersaturated, which doesn't mean necessarily it's AI generated. However, I notice that a lot of them do tend to be really hypersaturated. And when I say that, if you look down to this little color wheel here, a lot of artists, when they're doing coloring, the colors will go from like anywhere over here to anywhere over here, but then they'll generally sort of go through this area at some point. Whereas I feel like when I've been like looking at the colors of this, they tend to just be straight along these edges. Which isn't really a good way to tell anything, and you should probably just disregard that, but it's just something I've noticed. So sometimes when I see something that's really, really saturated, I am suspicious. But the other thing with the colors in this is I noticed that the base color of the turtles is shifting. So, for example, I'll just get this brush here. So I grabbed this color from, I don't know, one of them like this. So that would be like the base color of that one. It's sort of just a normal green, and most of them are sort of this kind of green. However, then you've got other ones that are throwing more of a blue color. Like you can see that this is a more bluey green, and this is the one I got from this turtle. But yeah, it's not the same shade of green. Sorry if that's a little hard to see, because I know that not everyone can see that as easily, but that's like a bluer green. And then you've also got a yellowier green for the base color of like that one. And then of course you got this one that's like another shade again. So they're not consistent base colors. They're also getting like lighter and darker. So it's really all over the place, and like there is reasons why the colors may shift a little bit, that they're not usually this dramatic. You wouldn't really normally notice them. But that is something that stands out to me. Another thing that I sort of notice sometimes is there's like a yellowy hue over something. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to explain that one. There's just sometimes like a yellow tinge to things that I don't think should normally be there. It can be, but yeah, it's just a weird thing. It's probably really hard to notice, so. But yeah, if the colors look weird, maybe that's a sign. And honestly, a lot of this is probably going to require like a little bit of training to pick out, so I think this is a really difficult one for someone who isn't really good with colors and noticing like fine details. So we're going to move on to the third part, which is style changes and inconsistent details. So this is where I feel like it's probably a little bit easier to tell. My first example here is not the best, but it is something that I did notice on this one. Is I looked at the eyes on all the different ones, and I sort of noticed, so this one's got like a corner to the eye, which is what this one has. But if you look at the others, none of them have that inner corner here. And then some of them have the entire outer circle of the eye drawn. And then some of them, the way the eyes are coloured in is different. And then some of them sort of have the open eye white bits. I don't know, I feel like that one's a little bit harder to see on this one, but it's like something that I've noticed. One thing I think might be a little bit easier to see is I zeroed in on the tummy region of these turtles, which is just different on each of these. Some of them have this bulbous sort of shape going on, while other ones have more like straight lines. And then the whole overall shape of the tummy is different each time. So that's weird to me. The next one, and this is the one that I find really funny on this one, is the feet. There are 4 different foot styles within this emote pack. We've got like little nub feet, just like that one, like there. And you got these ones with the weird like round circle on the bottom that's here, here. You got ones that have claws on them, like there, and there. And you got ones that look like a little cat paw, which is here and here. And then the most egregious one of the pack to me is this one, where they've got various different foot styles all on the one foot. Where like, I think this one's trying to be little claw toes, but it didn't quite get it right. But yeah, and then after that you can really just keep zeroing on various other details. Honestly, the more of these that you notice, I think the more suspicious you should probably be. Other ones that I've written down is like the noses. If you look at, I should probably zoom in on these more. Some of these have noses, some of them don't. Again, the only one up here that has a nose is this one. And then as well, looking at the noses, this one has one down here and then like one up here. This one has 2 teeny dots and then like an extra line next to it, but it kind of just looks like a dot, so it kind of looks like it has 3 nostrils. Another one is like the head shines. This one has a bajillion shines for some reason. The other ones look a little bit more similar to each other. Sometimes it can get some details looking kind of consistent, but then you've got something like this, which the stylization on the head is completely different. None of the others have these sort of speckled formations going on. So that's also weird. Another one is looking at mouth shapes. With this one, they've all kind of gone for that like cutesy sort of mouth, so it's not going to be as noticeable. However, I did notice that this one that's eating kind of has 3 little dips to the mouth, which is weird to me. And then the eyebrows. The eyebrows are again all over the place. You've got ones like this that are just some little dots. That one as well. And then you've got ones like this, which are sort of bean eyebrows. And then you've got ones like these 2 where they've sort of got more this whole intense eyebrow kind of look going. Yeah, just something else I find kind of suspicious. And honestly, I could point out a lot more things. You could zero in on all sorts of little details and just sort of see if that's consistent. Something else to point out with the eye styles though is that sometimes people will change up the eye style as like a way to dramatize the emotion. So just keep that in mind as well with the eyes. But yeah, once again, if you're noticing multiple weird inconsistencies like that, and it's more so the style of the character that's inconsistent, because sometimes you might just draw something inconsistent because it's hard to do that perfectly. But yeah, in this case, I find a lot of these to be because there's not a consistent style. Another important one, which it's not like one that is super obvious on this one, but something that might happen is there might be something that's like this sort of line weight, which is the thickness of the line. And then you'll have another one that's like thicker, which generally what you'll do is you'll want to like make sure they're all the same thickness. So that's something else that can be weird as well. And especially if the lines are like a bit fuzzy. Something else that I would also look for is just, well, weird nonsensical details. Lines that are sort of bleeding into spots that don't make sense, or body parts that are attached weirdly. There is an example in this one where this foot is way, way, way far away from the rest of the body. This leg's short and stumpy, and then this one's like stretched. So that's weird. I don't expect a lot of people to notice things like that, but if you do, sometimes people will draw things like that, but sometimes it's AI generated. I know this isn't really helpful. It's kind of like, it's like, maybe it's AI generated, but honestly, this is the best I can do for you. And then again, with the weird bleeding into things, here's an example. I was looking at a drawing, quote unquote drawing, on a coffee cup one time, and I was like, it's highly rendered, so it seems weird that some of these things are mistakes, such as there was like a scarf where the lines here were going like this, however here it was going like this, like a zigzag and then a wave for the color patterns. I was like, maybe they're just being inattentive. But then the thing that really made me go, this is AI generated, was there was a bowl with like noodles in it that a character, it was like a badger, was eating. And it was sitting on a table, and I was like, you know how a table has a wood grain pattern to it? It's like a wooden table. There was a line on the wood grain table that ran into the bottom of the bowl. It was like the table had blended into the bowl, as opposed to the bowl being a separate object. That's not something someone would draw. That was definitely like a, oh, this is definitely AI moment. So if you see something like that, be very suspicious. Yeah, so this kind of goes on to point number 5, which is, at this point, I think if it's AI generated, you'll probably see a few red flags at this point, but you also might not. But if you do see these red flags and you don't think you would have noticed them without inspecting it because of how highly polished the drawing looked otherwise, then I would consider that a red flag as well. So if you're getting like all these things that are really weird and inconsistent in terms of the color and the style, and these weird things that blend into each other. Oh yeah, I got one more thing to show you on this turtle. Is I don't know what the heck's going on with the crotch here. That's weird to me. That's not, it's yeah, I'm just. So yeah, if you notice all those things and it looks otherwise like it'd be like a highly polished drawing, it's possibly AI. So there are some last things I would do before being like, yeah, this is definitely AI, which is that I would then go and investigate the artist. So I would go to their Etsy page and I'd look at other emote packs that they've made, and sort of I'd look at multiple to see if these inconsistent details happen in other packs that they have. Obviously the packs are not all going to look the same, like I draw different styled eyes on different characters as well, but it's more like, and I think I do have an example of this as well, which is, so these are 3 different emote packs by, well, put out there by the same person, and I know they're AI generated. Again, their page actually says that they are, which, yay! Thanks, Etsy, for letting that be a thing. But yeah, I sort of tested this on my housemates, and neither of them could really tell that this one was AI generated, which I think is because it's such a simplistic style. It's a lot harder to tell. There's a lot less room for there to be mistakes in the consistency. There are some, but I feel like it's really hard to explain what they are in this instance. So honestly, even if you look at a pack and you think it's not AI generated, look at some more of their emote packs. Because, yeah, when you look at some other ones, this one's a bit more inconsistent. So you can have a look over, see the colours are sort of shifting in brightness, in hue. Some are more yellowy, some are more reddy. The eyes, there's like all different kinds of eyes in there. The speckles are inconsistent. So it's like, yeah, that one looks AI generated to me. The line weight changes up a lot too on these ones. And then there's this one, which that is so obvious to me that the style is really inconsistent. This one's randomly got more colours, like on the shading. It gets a lot darker, it gets a lot lighter. the eye style changes like here and here and here, and it's not just because of an expression change. So yeah, it's worth looking at their body of work on the whole. Another thing I would do is look up their online presence, see if they're on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and how long they've been posting art for. If they don't have an online presence, I would honestly call that pretty suspicious. If you're an artist that doesn't have some kind of online presence, please make one, at least like a portfolio website on like Card or something. Just anything, please. If you've been a Twitch streamer like me, you've had those people that come in and they're like, oh, will you commission me to make you stream assets? And they don't have a portfolio or anything that they can link you to. They just want you to give them money. So I find not having an online presence suspicious. Another thing is, did they just like suddenly appear out of nowhere with really highly polished looking images on their page? Another one is like sometimes people who were drawing have switched over to using AI generation, so another thing is looking for a sudden style shift that seemed like really dramatic and out of nowhere, suddenly like they're rendering images really well or something. That could be suspicious. And then another thing is, are they posting like an inhuman amount of highly polished looking images? They're pumping out 2 fully rendered drawings a day or something like that. You can't do that. I know people that can draw really fast, but this sort of AI generated looking stuff is not something you would probably get done that quickly. Ask someone else for a second opinion. Ask a friend. If you have any artist friends who have like a keen attention to detail, they can probably point out something that might be very obvious. Yeah, so I don't know, this is sort of my quick guide I've sort of thrown together. I hope it helps someone. I don't know if it'll help that many people, but it might help someone. It might help one of those people that, before they found me, accidentally bought something like this, or accidentally even paid commission prices to someone for something AI generated, which is really upsetting. Yeah, so I mean, if it helps you, let me know. If you have some other advice that you think would be helpful to people, leave it below. Again, don't go hunting people that you think are AI. Just, you know, this is just more for personal use, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely open to like feedback on these sorts. And like one of the things I did notice was when I was talking about this to my housemates is they don't pick up on the same details that I do, and it's really hard for me to explain what I'm seeing to them. So yeah, it's really hard to explain this to other people. So I'm trying my best, but yeah, if you want to put your own thing in the comments, it'd be very appreciated. Luckily, I do find that I sort of can pick up on the AI vibe a bit easier than other people. I tend to get sort of a gut feeling when I'm looking at something that's AI generated. So like, here's some images of stuff that I know is AI generated. I sort of look at it and there's like a vibe about them that feels wrong to me. And I think a lot of it is to do with the lighting. There's just sort of this weird lighting feel about them, and it can sort of lead to them looking like plasticky looking, like this lady looks very plasticky. Or there's like this sort of dreamy kind of lighting effect, which is usually what clues me into like the crochet stuff. I mean, I also crochet, so I can sort of see when things don't make sense in that regard as well, but it's, yeah. And if you don't know, there's a lot of people that AI generate crochet patterns that don't turn out to look like the images they're posting with them. So that's another way that AI generators are scamming people. Yay! Yeah, something else that I tend to notice a lot of AI generated stuff has is something I like to call the piss yellow effect. I find this one very prevalent in the Studio Ghibli inspired AI generation. But yeah, it's sort of, there's like a yellow tone over the whole picture. And again, this is like one of those things that can be hard for someone to notice if they don't know what they're looking for. Like, some of these are more obvious than others. But with this pickle man, for example, there is sort of a yellowishness about the whole picture. Another thing, I don't know, I sort of noticed sometimes there's a grainy feeling to them as well. It's not always super obvious, it's like a vibe I get, I don't know. And it's hard because sometimes artists might use a texture over their artwork to make it look like it's on paper or something, but I don't know, it's something about the generation makes it more obvious, and this is like a bit of a double combo. We've got the grainy look and the yellow piss effect. Because, yeah, I think comics, it would normally be like a white sort of background, but it's like it's trying to be a paper drawing, but it's got this weird yellow stain over it again. So I think that's all I can really offer in terms of the gut instinct of something being AI. But let's look at some emotes that are not AI generated. So this is a emote pack created by an artist called Plush Unagi. They seem to be a pretty well established emo artist, and they have highly saturated works, which, like I did say, can be a sign that's AI generated, and this is why you kind of need to look for multiple signs, because if you just looked at the colors on this and was like, oh, it's AI generated, yeah, don't do that. But you know, when you look in at the other details, it's like these eyes all look consistent with each other, even with this different expression here. They're all consistent except for like the special emotions. And then you can also look at, and I should probably grab a different color for this, look at something else I think is really consistent on these is the way she's done the hair shines. They all look consistent with each other, and the same with the shines on the horns. They're very consistent. As well as that, the colors of everything don't shift around. Sometimes there's like a highlight that's sort of come in a bit stronger, which is fine, but it's still like, it's still the same base color. Like those are all the same. It's consistent. Yeah, you're looking for those key consistencies because you just wouldn't have them for like a character that's meant to be the same character in an emote set. Yeah, unfortunately it is very hard, I think, for a lot of people to pick up on these signs of something being AI generated, and there's a lot of people getting scammed right now, unfortunately. And I know there's a lot of people that don't care, but there are also a lot of people that do care, and so I'm kind of hoping this helps someone that does care. So if it did, please let me know. The thing is, when you're doing art and you're someone who is drawing something, there's a lot of intention behind all the little things that we do in a drawing. And that's just one of the things that I feel like an AI generation's never really going to get. You can't really teach that to them, I don't think. And yeah, I just really wanted to make this video because honestly, there's just been so much in the past year where I've spent a lot of time just on my bed, kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I thought this might help me a little bit too. If you liked the video, please let me know. And if there's any other like art topics you'd like to see me talk about, also please let me know. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to be posting me playing games that I like. And if you're feeling extra kind, maybe consider dropping a subscribe or a follow on social media. I do drawing on Twitch as well as playing Minecraft. So if you like those things, maybe you should hang around. And also, if you extra love human creativity and video games and things, my brother's game MIMICRY is now currently on Steam for wishlisting, and it will be coming out sometime next year, date to be announced. It's a prop hunt inspired multiplayer game that's really fun and vibrant, and you play as either this little creature called a mimic or the exterminators that are trying to destroy the mimics. And the game's just been getting a lot of really positive response from people who've been playing it at event demos. And it also features some art from me. So I'd really appreciate it if you would check out their Instagram page and maybe wishlist the game on Steam. I'll leave some links in the description. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Good luck and keep supporting human art. Thank you. Bye.